Okay, so here's some different type of ground. Still like gravelly. But when you find an impression of any large animal like a bear, or in this case, the North American hominid, it's going to leave deep, deep impressions. So right here, you can see, I barely went in to this ground, and it's pretty loose right there. So the obvious answer is I can't replicate those tracks in any easy way. And this is me again, pounding my foot into the soil. So it's kind of a moot point to assume that I'm somehow creating these large imprints and impressions with what I'm wearing. And I get some of you, when you see me wearing these Vibram 5 fingers, you think it's naive of me to use something like that in the field looking for this North American hominid because it's so controversial. Though I think it's naive not to use them and take advantage of what they have to offer, and I'll explain that here in a moment. So one of the main reasons I wear them, besides they're helpful, I can be quiet, they give me a lot of dexterity, is I want to be able to think like them. Okay? I mean, for anyone that goes hiking a lot, especially does a lot of bushcrafting, you change your mindset depending on the terrain and what how prepared you are. So when I do like recons and I'm light, I don't have a backpack at all, I'll jump over logs, I'll climb up cliffs to exploring the area. But now let's say I have a heavy pack on, and I'm going to go to an area and stay there for a long time. Now that little log that I jumped over before, or that like cliff, it's just it seems is impossible and impassable with my with all that gear on. So what that does when I have my backpack on is it forces me to look at different routes. It forces me to find a way that's going to make it easier for me with all that weight on. That normally, when I don't have that weight, wouldn't be a problem at all because I have more capability and more avenues to use. Okay, so the point of this is that when you wear something like the Vibram 5 fingers, it forces you to think differently. So there's places that normally with boots, I would just trudge right on through, right? Because I don't have to worry about like a cactus. I don't have to worry about rocks, or jagged areas, at all. I don't have to worry about that. But with the Vibram 5 fingers, now I have to be careful where I walk. Now I have to plan my route in a way that's going to be, not only easier on my foot, but just maximize my efficiency in general. So one of my big successes has been trying to understand how this hominid operates and thinks, because even though there's a lot of big differences in us, it still has some atomically similar features. We're both bipedal. We have a similar anatomy to some degree. So that allows us to think outside the box and consider, well, how would they go through this area? How would they approach a situation? And one of those big features is they're not wearing boots. They're trying to be quiet and sneaky because they're, like I've stated before, they're ambush predators. And being able to use that to my advantage has helped me a lot. And again, going back to the routes, planning which routes to go through, wearing the Vibram 5 fingers has really helped me think outside the box, because there's places like I don't necessarily want to go with them, and there's areas that now I have to take an alternative route because of what I'm wearing. But on the same other token, there's places I can go easier that I wouldn't with boots, just because I can use the anatomy of my foot. I can dig my toes in. I can easier navigate through certain parts and environments that normally wouldn't be as easy or I wouldn't be as interested in going in my boots. They're also very light, which makes it a lot easier to move through. And they really have helped look in areas and places and take routes that I normally wouldn't have taken, that have brought, compelling evidence forward. So that's like the main reasons. Okay. Those are the two main reasons. And like one, like obviously, like I said before, there's no way for me to replicate these impressions and these footprints with my weight, unless I'm going out of my way to try to force them. Which brings me to the next point. Imagine someone came out of the mountains and they found all this gold, and they're trying to get you to come with them to help them with this gold and like see this gold and help get rich from it. And imagine, you don't believe him, so you just tell him he's crazy and he's wrong and all the many things you could say and like be skeptical of. But that still doesn't change that individual has found gold, has found a rich treasure. And do you think it's gonna matter what you think if he knows that there's a rich treasure there and you say you don't believe him? Like he's just gonna go back and do it himself, and it cracks me up, So if you don't believe me and you don't see any value in this, then it doesn't matter to me, because I have like a treasure here. Like I've like struck gold, in this understanding, this knowledge, and these interactions with these hominids. So even if you may not believe me, you may, call me a liar, a fake, whatever it is that you need to call me. Just remember, if I'm being truthful and I'm telling the truth and I'm being authentic and genuine, it doesn't matter what you say, because I already have factual, compelling evidence that these exist. Like, obviously, like my evidence is hearsay, right? Like it's anecdotal, but I've seen it. I've interacted with these species. I know that it's real and it's a gold mine, and I'm here if you want to come with and take this journey with me. But at the end of the day, if you don't believe me, you can scrutinize me all you want, but it's not going to change that, like I found this gold mine that I can keep going back to, and it's not relevant if you believe me or not. Like it's not going to change my path and course to this amazing, thing, this amazing like a realization that there's an intelligent hominid species living in like my backyard and interacting with me. Okay, so some of the other reasons I wear the Vibram 5 fingers, touching on number 2 of the main reasons, and that's being able to understand the terrain better, how they operate, how they think. And it's been really very intriguing and like a large revelation to see how my foot looks on different types of terrain, what I do, my own anatomy, and being able to see that helps me understand how my foot works, helps me better understand what to look for as far as footprints are concerned in different types of terrain, different types of soil, and terrain. So it's super beneficial, because now I'm being able to see my example and trying to find an emulation of that in a bigger form, and being able to see it all the time in different terrain. Because I'll do it. Like I'll go in different types of terrain and I'll put my footprint and I'll walk across it in different ways and different styles and see how it comes out, see how it looks. And sometimes like going uphill, up scree, when you're on the ball of your foot, it looks so weird. Like if you weren't paying attention, it almost looks like a paw. And I should have a picture to display it here. But that kind of information is vital, right? So if this hominid, when it goes up, kind of goes, like on its the front part of its foot, it's going to look a lot different, especially in scree, where it's a very steep terrain and a lot of gravel everywhere, than it would if it was going flat-footed on different types of environment. Because if mine looks that weird and different and unexpected, then their footprints are going to look the same. And again, right, like their footprints are going to be much more pronounced and in depth, because they have so much weight on them. Them just walking can create a depression. So that's another important aspect of wearing the Vibram 5 fingers. And ironically, I think it's funny that I have to even talk about the Vibram 5 fingers, considering that I think there's been plenty of people that have proven, like Les Stroud, he went out of his way and spent $10,000 just to fake footprints of a Sasquatch or Bigfoot. I don't have that money, and I'm not willing to put that much effort to fake something, okay? Especially when I have the real deal right here. So I don't know if this is going to help anyone, but hopefully it's going to give you the reasons why I chose to wear Vibram 5 fingers, because it's helpful, not only on a personal level, enjoying the comfort and just getting to know how my anatomy works, because it's really cool, human anatomy, what we've adapted to, how each one of us has different adaptations from millions of years of evolution to give us different types of traits, and different types of ethnic backgrounds, racial ones, and we're all intermixed between them. And it's exciting to see, my foot in action, and as it gets stronger and better, the kind of things I can do that I normally wouldn't do or even consider or be aware of with shoes. So that's my own personal fascinations with it. Ironically, though, I made fun of them the first time I saw them when I was in the Marine Corps. I remember my girlfriend at the time, she bought some, and I was right after I told everyone that those are stupid, all the other friends in the Marine Corps. And then, of course, she had them, she convinced me, and I got them, and it was a terrible first one. I I was in 270, 20 palms, and we went on this run, and I decided to wear them, and they were the KSOs, the base, one of the more basic first editions. And I got through it, but it hurt my feet because it was so jagged, those rocks, and my feet were not adapted to wearing that kind of shoe to begin with. But here I am, still wearing them after I made fun of them. So I think the last thing, unless something comes up that I missed, another reason why I wear this, especially in this particular type of investigation, is the whole point of this, right, isn't necessarily for me to prove that they exist. I mean, obviously, I think that's going to be a definite revelation of this, these experiments and these interactions, if I can get close enough. In order to do that, I have to get closer and interact, which is what's been going on, I think, to some successful degree. But that also means I want to be able to relate to them more. I want to be able to draw their interest, because really what I'm playing off is their greatest strength and their greatest weakness is that they're curious. They're very curious. And the ones in this area, I believe, are complacent because they're around people all the time, and they know how complacent we are, so it's made them complacent. So I think that's what's given me this opportunity, along with another long list of potential possibilities. I think, and again, speculating, when they find my tracks, and my tracks don't look like boots, but they look like foots, which they can associate with, it intrigues them because it's small, it's uncharacteristic of a foot because there's a lot of treading, and it doesn't look like one of their footprints, but it's clearly a footprint. And I think when I go walking all around through these hills and these canyons, and they see that, it intrigues them, and they associate it with me. Okay? So I'm trying to build this rapport and this association through, the things I say, how I look, how the smell I give off, and the tracks I leave behind. And I think that's important for them to, if I'm going to be successful in this, to get used to me and get familiar with me and trust me enough so I can get close enough to have daily interactions and face to face, which as a lot of it's still an intimidating prospect to get that close. It was already intimidating enough being a little distance away where they could throw pebbles at us and run up to the Jeep and smack and run away. At least I had the Jeep as a false sense of security. So all this is building these last couple of years to get closer, get those engagements, because those engagements face to face is what's going to allow me to one day document them and document the interactions. Because I don't want to just get one awesome shot and then that's it. Like I lose trust and they run away. Like it's not worth it to me. So they're not perfect. Obviously, I would, if Vibram's listening, I prefer, they're starting to do it, but this area here be stronger so it doesn't break, and also so that cactus and other stuff doesn't poke through it on here. And as you can see, they've started doing that, but it just needs to be more improved. And of course, it would be nice if it went up higher so that dust and sand when I go through. Granted, no, most people aren't going to use it the way I do, of going off trail and running around. So what I've done is I put like a gator on, and that's helped, like 1, when it's cold, 2, when it's raining, or when I have to go through a bunch of really wet debris, undergrowth, so I don't get super wet. Yeah, this isn't waterproof at all. Like it leaks in, especially on bottom. I don't mind it leaking on top. I mean, it's a given, but on the bottom it'd be nice if it was a little better sealed, so that when I walk through just like damp stuff, it doesn't leak in to my foot and sock. But it is neat. So a little bit about the foot in general is that a lot of your weight, when you push off with your big toe. So when you have a whole shoe, it distributes the weight equally, and so you don't have that same type of articulation and push off. So there's definitely pros and cons to this. I really like the pros. As you can tell, there's definitely cons to this. I wouldn't wear this as a standalone, especially up here in the mountains where it can get like really cold at night. But I have used these as day hikers after I hike in to an area for, that takes me a day or two. You can see some videos of that, and when I do recons, it's really cool, like videos of like reconning hard to get to places. These are helpful once you set up in areas like that to move around and wander and be relatively undetected, because I don't leave much of a print with this on. Like I can articulate my weight because it's so flexible when I'm walking on the environment, so I can leave much less of an imprint and adapt over it as I go, and I can feel like subtle changes in the environment telling me if it's getting wet, if something might fall through and stuff like that. So it's strange and it's unconventional, but it's worked really well for me so far. So again, I realize some of you think that me wearing this invalidates my claims and observations, but once you look closer at this and realize what's being found, especially like with the impressions and the footprints, can't be replicated by my weight and my little feet. Just go try it. Go to different environments, go different terrains, try to create an impression in an area where you assume which should be easy to make an impression, and try to make it as deep as what's being found, what the ones I've showcased in the documentary. I learned this a long time ago when my first experience, like there were the undergrowth had created these depressions, one set of 18-inch tracks and one of 16, and I couldn't do it for the life of me. I even went on like the steep part where I would have be able to like jump at more of an angle, and I weighed 175 pounds of muscle back then, and I could not make an impression. At the end of the day, I wish I had some tracks available to show you like the differences, but luckily, if things should go my way, when it gets warmer out, they should be coming back down to this area, and when I come across them, I'll make sure to try to point that out, try to point out the differences, and get your take on it, and see if I can replicate it, because I try to replicate it to see if I have the ability to do it, because if I can't do anything nearby, like close to it, then that's compelling for me. That's compelling enough to take a picture of it and showcase it. And obviously there's impressions and look like trackways that I think are them, but aren't convincing enough, so I don't show you. So anyway, I hope that helps to some degree to fill in the reasons why I wear the Vibram 5 fingers, and I'm not going to stop because they've been helping me, and I feel like I'm really onto something, and that this is leading somewhere, and it's been an amazing experience so far.